They tell you to defend yourself because they want you trapped in reaction. The moment you explain, justify, or plead, you've already accepted their frame. You've agreed that their opinion holds authority over your reality. That's the first mistake most people make. They confuse noise for truth. They rush to correct every misunderstanding, as if the world's approval could rewrite the facts. It can't. It only shows who needs permission to exist. Every emotion you allow to dictate action is a chain around your neck. Anger, fear, guilt, even compassion. These are not virtues. They are levers that others will use to move you. The world rewards consistency and clarity, not sentiment. They provoke not to resolve conflict, but to observe your surrender. They watch as your defenses rise and fall, as your reasoning bends under the weight of instinct. If you respond emotionally, you step into a trap you cannot see. They do not need to strike. You strike yourself. Power exists where understanding is devoid of mercy. Think of those who climb without apology. They do not linger on insult or grievance. They do not negotiate with doubt. They act with ruthless clarity, because hesitation is the seed of failure. You have been taught that fairness is honorable, that explanation is necessary, that reaction is required. Strip these illusions away. The world is neither fair nor obliged to listen. Every explanation you offer signals weakness. Every defense you raise gives away control. Observe them. They are simple. They operate on assumptions, on what they feel rather than what is. They misinterpret silence as guilt, patience as weakness, inaction as ignorance. Let them be deceived. Let them project. Let them misjudge. This is the quiet work of power, to exist in equilibrium while others chase shadows. You are not swayed by insult. You are not shaken by praise. You are a fixed point in a storm of emotion, watching as chaos bends to your steadiness. Do not mistake restraint for passivity. The world equates the two, but restraint is strategy. Passivity is surrender. To resist the compulsion to explain is to reclaim your narrative. To withhold defense is to redirect energy. They waste words. They expend effort. They expose themselves. Meanwhile, you preserve clarity. You accumulate leverage. Each misstep they take is a resource. Each false assumption a foothold. Power grows not by reaction, but by calculation. You must see yourself as a system, not a person, subject to every impression. Each encounter is data. Each provocation is a test. Your responses are not emotional. They are operational. They reveal nothing of weakness, everything of strategy. When others attempt to bait you, they are offering themselves as proof of your discernment. To bite is to forfeit insight. To remain still is to gather knowledge. The rational observer does not argue. The rational observer adapts. They confuse action with competence, noise with authority. You recognize that true strength lies in clarity, not volume. To wield power, you must internalize that their judgments are irrelevant. They may shout, they may ridicule, they may attempt to entangle you in the theater of morality. None of it touches you unless you allow it. If your mind, free of emotional entrapment, becomes a tool of precision, you choose when to move, how to move, and against whom. Your silence speaks louder than their accusations. Your patience outlasts their aggression. Your clarity crushes their assumptions. Do not seek validation. Do not seek approval. They are conveniences for the weak. The moment you crave consent, you trade freedom for illusion. Those who operate with ruthless logic alone see what others cannot. Control resides not in domination, but in detachment. In detachment lies clarity. In clarity lies foresight. And in foresight lies power. So do not defend yourself. Never explain. Never plead. Let them reveal themselves, while you remain constant. They cannot harm what is immovable. They cannot dictate what is deliberate. They cannot corrupt what is meticulously controlled. You are beyond their reach, because your mind is no longer hostage to the whims of emotion. Every step you take is deliberate. Every word unspoken is a weapon. Every silence is a fortress. You do not defend. You observe, you calculate, you act. And in that discipline, you discover mastery. The mastery that comes not from the approval of others, but from the ruthless clarity of one who sees all, fears none, and allows nothing to distract from the inevitable ascent. People attack not to discover truth, but to assert control. They provoke to test your balance. If you respond emotionally, they win, because they've dictated the terms. The wise don't enter that arena. They let others exhaust themselves on assumptions. Silence, in the right hands, isn't weakness. It's strategy. It denies your opponent the satisfaction of confirmation. They start doubting. They start turning inward. That's when control shifts. Every reaction you make reveals a piece of your structure. Anger, indignation, guilt. These are levers for those who watch carefully. They do not need to strike. You strike yourself by engaging. Logic dissolves in the heat of emotion. You have been taught that passion is valor, that defense is honor. It is none of these. Passion is a tether. Defense is a confession of dependency. Both are exploited daily by those who understand human predictability. Observe them. They operate on assumptions, not facts. They interpret gestures, words, and silence through a lens of projection. Your impatience, your desire to explain, your need for justification, all feed them. Every attempt to clarify grants them insight. Every plea, a weapon. Your defenses become their roadmap. The more you justify, the more they know. The more you react, the more they control. The strong do not react. They calculate. The patient wait, and the world reveals itself. Emotion clouds vision. Fear convinces you that you are vulnerable. Anger convinces you that offense is necessary. And hope convinces you that approval matters. Each illusion is a snare. People mistake volume for power, but the loudest voice is often the weakest. True authority is invisible. It is the unshakable presence that bends circumstance without effort. When you remove emotion from the equation, you see the mechanisms of control. You see the patterns. You see the predictable errors of others before they even realize them themselves. Defensiveness is a trap. When you attempt to justify, you enter their frame. You acknowledge that their perception holds weight. You teach them that words can wound you. That is, the moment power shifts, not in your favor. To resist the urge to explain is to reclaim your narrative. Let them fabricate their assumptions. Let them misinterpret your silence. That misjudgment is leverage. Every misstep they take, every conclusion they draw, becomes a tool for your influence. You are not required to respond to every attack, every insult, every manipulation. They mistake engagement for truth, emotion for substance, reactivity for strength. But you operate differently. You act deliberately, with calculated precision. You observe the chaos they create and chart a path through it. Your mind is the instrument. Emotion is a hindrance. The world bends to those who act from clarity, not from impulse. The world notices those who are unmoved. Power is rooted in comprehension, not confrontation. They cannot manipulate what is constant. They cannot dominate what is deliberate. They cannot unsettle what is deliberate, measured, and dispassionate. Let them expend themselves on assumptions. Let them falter in their own projections. Your silence, your patience, your restraint. These are weapons far more effective than argument. You do not need to prove yourself. You need only exist with consistency, and the world will reveal itself in the spaces they leave, in the mistakes they make, in the openings they create when they underestimate your stillness. Do not crave understanding. Do not seek approval. Those desires are shackles. Freedom and influence come from the mind, unclouded by emotion. Clarity is power. Detachment is strategy. Observation is leverage. They will test you, prod you, attempt to draw you into the storm. Stand firm. Let them move. Let them betray their own limitations. You hold the calm. You hold the clarity. You hold the course. And in that mastery, in that ruthless commitment to reason over impulse, you discover the truth. Power is not earned by reaction, nor by persuasion, nor by pleasing. Power is claimed through clarity, through patience, through the cold, unflinching control of yourself. While the world wastes its strength in chaos, you do not defend, you do not explain, you do not react. You wait, you observe, you calculate, and the world bends toward the one who fears nothing, desires nothing, and moves only with purpose. Defensiveness is the mark of one still ruled by image. You want to be understood, so you hand them the weapon of your need. They can twist your words, reframe your motives, shape the narrative, all while you're too busy trying to look innocent. Stop doing that. The truth doesn't require your defense. It only requires your consistency. Power isn't in convincing others you're right. It's in knowing you don't need to. Every time you justify, you concede authority over your reality. Each explanation is a surrender, a signal that their perception matters more than your clarity. Most people cannot see this. They are bound to reaction, driven by fear, pride, and desire for approval. You are different. You understand that emotion clouds logic. It corrupts judgment. It reduces action to performance. To act from impulse is to yield control. Those who operate with ruthless clarity recognize the trap. They do not defend. They observe. They calculate. People attack, not to discover truth, but to assert dominance. They provoke to gauge your balance, to find the soft spot where reasoning collapses into fear or anger. If you respond emotionally, you have already lost. You have entered the arena on their terms, fought their battle, and validated their perspective. The wise do not join. They let others expend themselves on assumptions, on half-formed judgments, on the chaos of emotion. Silence, in the right hands, is not weakness. It is strategy. It frustrates, destabilizes, and reshapes the battlefield. They begin to doubt. They turn inward. Control shifts without a single blow. Understand this. Emotion is a leash. Anger makes you predictable. Compassion makes you exploitable. Fear makes you pliable. You have been trained to believe that defending yourself is honor, that reacting is integrity. It is none of these. Every time you attempt to explain, you offer insight into your mind. Every attempt to justify feeds them the map of your motives. Every plea signals dependence. This is how ordinary people are controlled. How ideas of fairness, morality, and decency are weaponized against the naive. Do not mistake restraint for passivity. They will try to bait you. They will attempt to provoke a reaction, to trap you in the spectacle of emotion. Let them misjudge you. Let them exhaust themselves on interpretations. You remain the immovable. You remain the observer. You gather leverage from their errors. You see patterns they cannot perceive. You exploit openings. They leave, not with haste, but with precision. You move only when clarity dictates. You act only when it is advantageous. People confuse volume with authority, noise with competence, passion with insight. You know better. True strength is invisible. It is measured not by the intensity of engagement, but by the absence of vulnerability. To wield influence, you must strip yourself of the need for approval, explanation, or validation. They can neither twist what you do not clarify, nor attack what you do not expose. Every word left unsaid, every argument left unengaged, is a fortress. Every silence is a blade. Consistency is your weapon. Do not defend the truth. Embody it. Let them scramble to understand you through shadows. Let them fabricate motives and misunderstandings. Their errors are yours to exploit. Every misjudgment, every assumption, every emotional overreach on their part is a resource. You do not need to correct them. You do not need to argue. You need only to persist with unwavering precision. That is how influence grows. That is how control is seized. When you remove emotion from the equation, the world becomes transparent. You see the predictable mistakes of others. You see how fear drives them, how desire blinds them, how pride compels them to misstep. You act from reason, not impulse. You act from strategy, not sentiment. You understand that real power is never declared, never demanded, never begged for. It is claimed quietly, coldly, and without apology. They will test you. They will attempt to provoke indignation, confusion, or defensiveness. They will try to pull you into arguments, into explanations, into performances of virtue or innocence. Do not comply. Let them exhaust themselves on their assumptions. Let them reveal weakness, while you remain steady. You are constant, you are deliberate, you are detached, you are clear. And in that clarity, in that detachment, lies mastery. The mastery that cannot be challenged because it is unassailable. Do not defend. Do not justify. Do not react. Hold your mind like a fortress. Observe the chaos. Anticipate the errors and move only when logic demands. Let others falter in emotion while you ascend through calculation. In this ruthless clarity, you see the truth. Others cannot. Influence is not gained through noise, argument, or validation. It is gained by those who know the value of stillness, the power of restraint, and the absolute authority of self-mastery. When you master that restraint, when you stop defending and start observing, you see how easily most people are led by fear. You realize influence isn't about force. It's about composure. Let them talk. Let them guess. You stay still and watch how the world bends toward. Whoever needs nothing, they mistake noise for power. They confuse volume for authority, chaos for action, passion for insight. Every outburst, every plea, every justification they offer is a confession. They reveal their weaknesses in ways they cannot control. Few, however, operate differently. You understand that emotion clouds judgment, that desire and fear and pride are chains. The world exploits those chains. The wise see the traps and refuse to fall. People attack not to understand, but to dominate. They provoke to test your balance. They measure your response to determine how easily they can control you. If you react, you enter their arena. If you have accepted their rules, you fight on their terms, with their weapons. You validate their narrative without even realizing it. The strong do not engage in these contests. They let others exhaust themselves on assumptions, on misinterpretations, on their own emotional responses. Silence wielded correctly is not weakness. It is leverage. It denies your opponent confirmation, and it forces them inward into doubt. Control shifts without a single overt act. Defensiveness is the mark of one still ruled by image. You want to be understood, so you hand them the weapon of your need. They twist your words, distort your motives, reshape the narrative, all while you strain to appear reasonable, innocent, or fair. Stop doing that. The truth does not need your defense. It requires only your consistency. Power is not in convincing others you are right. It is in knowing you do not need to. The moment you relinquish the urge to justify yourself, you reclaim the space others attempt to occupy over you. Emotion is a leash. Anger, hope, fear, and guilt are levers. They make you predictable. They give others insight into your mind, into your patterns, into your weaknesses. Every reaction is data for them. Every defense is a roadmap. The moment you let instinct dictate action, you surrender control. The calculated observer does not react. The calculated observer watches, waits, and moves only when clarity demands it. Composure is a weapon. Patience is a weapon. Detachment is a weapon. Consistency is your fortress. Let others misjudge you. Let them speculate. Let them misinterpret motives and fabricate intentions. Every misstep they take, every false assumption, becomes an instrument of leverage in your hands. You do not need to correct them. You do not need to explain yourself. You exist with unwavering precision. Their errors are resources. Their assumptions are opportunities. Their agitation is confirmation of your superiority in foresight. Do not seek validation. Do not crave understanding. Those needs are chains that bind the untrained mind. Power is not obtained by approval, nor by argument, nor by proving virtue. Power is claimed through clarity. Power is claimed through observation. Power is claimed by the one who acts with purpose, who waits while others stumble, who moves only when every variable is measured and controlled. The world bends toward those who need nothing, because need is weakness. The strong operate invisibly. They do not announce their influence. They do not demand recognition. They manipulate circumstances, not people. They exploit the mistakes of others, the gaps in judgment, the lapses in composure. They observe the predictable chaos created by fear and desire, and they act decisively, coldly, with ruthless precision. Inaction is never confusion. Silence is never surrender. Patience is never weakness. Every unreacted provocation, every withheld explanation, every calm refusal to be drawn into argument builds authority more securely than any argument could. Most people will never see this. They will flail. They will shout. They will attempt to control you with fear, guilt, or anger. Let them. Let them reveal the patterns they cannot hide. Let them exhaust themselves in the theater of emotion. You remain fixed. You remain calculated. You remain unshakable. In your restraint, you discover the rarest clarity, the understanding that the world yields not to the loud, but to the patient. Not to the desperate, but to the composed. Not to those who fight for approval, but to those who require nothing. Stop defending. Stop justifying. Stop reacting. Watch, measure, and move with purpose. Let them waste their energy. Let them betray their limitations. You preserve yours. Influence grows silently. Power is claimed without effort. And in that ruthless clarity, you see what the others cannot. Freedom, control, and authority belong to the one who needs nothing, fears nothing, and acts only with precision.